Episode 1, Volume 1, a good movie that you probably haven't seen. Alt title, Time Lapse, 2014. The Illusion of Control and the Paradox of Controlling Fate.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, my darlings. I'm Meeks, and I've seen the future. And apparently, it involves a lot of bad decisions, camera flashes, and morally compromised roommates. Today we're talking about Time Lapse, the film that asks, what if you had a Polaroid machine from hell and no common sense? So buckle in, because time travel ethics are about to get murky. Time Lapse is one of those rare, convincing, low-budget sci-fi thrillers that doesn't need flashy effects to mess with your brain. Using a simple but sinister time travel premise, it dives headfirst into the murky waters of human flaws, greed, jealousy, obsession, and comes out the other side with a tangled web of consequences that feels both inevitable and avoidable. But beyond the plot twists and Polaroids, Time Lapse is also a claustrophobically delicious indie gem that invites viewers to question the very fabric of control. Are we making our own choices? Or are we just following someone else's orders? Through the slow unraveling of its central trio, Finn, Callie, and Jasper, the film reveals how the camera doesn't just predict their actions, it amplifies their worst instincts. Finn's passivity, Callie's secrecy, Jasper's spiraling paranoia, they all become sharper, more dangerous, darker as they're magnified under the future's lens. And then there's our ambiguous ending, one final photograph, one last twist that invites a deeper debate. Is free will even possible when the future is already printed? Or are we all just posing for a picture that we didn't know was already taken?
Oh my god, I just gave away the ending. Spoiler alert!
This breakdown will absolutely ruin the movie for you if you haven't seen it. So if you want to experience the dread, drama, and timeline chaos firsthand, go watch Time Lapse and come back when you are ready. You have been officially warned. We open with Finn, a tortured painter stuck in a creative slump, living his best boring millennial life with his supportive and suspiciously perfect girlfriend Callie, played by Disney Channel's finest, Danielle Panabaker, deliciously rebranding as your indie thriller fave, and his degenerate BFF Jasper, who's not just giving sidekick energy, he's literally George Finn from LOL. I see you, Miley Cyrus.
And they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
We glamorously see him unplugging a toilet of a fellow resident while she jokes about how her building manager used to be an artist. And we see him living a not so high class life, picking up behind and repairing a building that looks about 5 years to demolition. Notably, we see him pick up a hat off the floor of a locked storage area, and he thinks nothing of it. We are then introduced to Big Joe, the resident-friendly and helpful security guard who, in helping Finn move some chairs from storage for a party they're going to host, overhears that a tenant, Mr. Bezarides, is late on his rent. Which is how we get to Mr. Bezarides, Mr. B, for those in the know. A mysterious old man who hasn't paid rent in 2 months. 2 months! His car is full of parking tickets, the plants are wilting, and there's a stack of at least 12 newspapers in front of his door. And somehow no one is called for a welfare check? The math isn't mathing. So Callie, being the responsible one, plays Nancy Drew and pops into his unit, only to find, drumroll please, a giant creepy Polaroid camera pointed at their living room window. And it's not just any camera. It's spitting out photos from 24 hours into the future, every day, at exactly 8 p.m. No explanation, no manual, just full-on sci-fi chaos in a dusty old man's apartment. So Callie does the most logical thing and brings the guys in on her discovery. Initially, they theorized that Mr. B was a peeping Tom, creepily taking photos of them. But they also notice that there's photos of just their empty living room, so obviously that doesn't make any sense. They then see a large industrial-sized camera next to years' worth of blank film, and there's a photo sticking out of it that shows the same scene, their living room. They exit Mr. B's apartment, confused about what they saw, but they seemingly go back to their day-to-day activities. But as Callie's leaving for work, she takes her coat off the hanger and it falls. She gasps, and all three of them rush outside to then realize that the scene is a perfect match from the photo from the Polaroid. They reunite amongst the photos, trying to convince themselves that it's just one large coincidence, and that there's nothing actually going on. Simultaneously, the camera begins to click, whir, and process another photograph. It's a flash forward of the party that they're going to host. They begin going over the photos like amateur detectives and realize that the camera is completely accurate and that they have a window into the future. Jasper says that if Mr. B created this, there's no way that he would use his ability to look into the future to just look into their apartment. And Finn theorizes that he may have been testing the machine, unsure of whether or not it worked. It also looks to weigh about 10,000 pounds, so where exactly was this man going to go with it? Callie then discovers what seems to be the nail in the coffin, Mr. B's final diary entry where he seemingly saw a Polaroid that predicted his own death. They realize the camera's on a timer, and then Finn goes, "Aha! I know where Mr. B is." Because remember his hat? We then get to our first juicy twist in a series of many upcoming bad decisions. Mr. B? Oh, he's very dead. Like charred body in a storage unit dead. Apparently, he's been out of commission for a week and no one noticed. Classic horror movie oversight. They come to the generous conclusion that Mr. B died because he fucked with time, betraying the golden rule. Jasper, the group's resident disaster artist and gambling addict, sees the machine and immediately goes full Adam Smith. Wearing Mr. B's hat, he begins to brainstorm ideas of how their lives should progress. He wants to use the photos to place bets, mainly win bets. He says that Callie can quit her serving job and write her novels full time. Finn says that they should call the police. Jasper says everything looks fine and Mr. B is dead and no one seems to care.
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved. Yes. But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
He then doubles down, saying that if they really did call the police, that there's no way the camera would show them having the party the next day. To which Callie agrees that they cannot cancel, despite the fact that there is a charred, dead body. Finn is so against this and has to be convinced to let the party happen. He's stressed the whole time. Homeboy he's not having a good time. He's having a bad time. It's a terrible time. Jasper's doing drugs, drinking, and having the time of his life, preparing for the next photo to show them calling the cops, which obviously it should, and Callie decides to join him. Finn takes a photo at exactly 8 p.m. to compare to the Polaroid, and then he realizes that it's literally a perfect photo. Now he's convinced. Pop! The camera takes another photo. Holding it up, Finn sees Jasper holding up the race results, and Finn has a completed painting. After this realization that their lives are seemingly in their control, Finn jumps on board. The morning after the party, it begins to sink in. They have to pretend that Mr. B is still alive to keep his apartment the same and ensure that they have a constant access to the photos, and Callie comes up with a working theory that they all adopt as scripture. That the camera's photo once seen needs to be realized, and if it isn't realized, that they would cease to move forward in the space-time continuum, die.
I like some of the Gaga songs. What the fuck does she know about cameras?
They then come to an agreement that they must do what's in the photo. They have to keep Mr. B's dead body a secret in the storage unit, hide the fact that he's also dead by actively covering it up, and they will by proxy become incredibly wealthy people while also living their best lives because they're going to know the future. At first, they're riding high. Jasper's suddenly the luckiest man at the track. Finn's cured his artistic block by cheating, literally just painting what he already knows he's going to paint. He's instantly productive again. Inspiration overrated. Time travel plagiarism definitely more efficient. And Callie, she's clinging to reality like the only sober one at brunch. They start living by the photos, delicately balancing both manifesting and play acting a predestined future. But let's be real. If you're living every day trying to recreate a photograph, you're not living. You're cosplaying as a hostage in your own timeline. Every day becomes a performance. Every choice, a spoiler. Whatever shows up at 8 p.m., they reenact like it's cursed community theater. Why? Because they think the timeline will destroy them if they don't. That's their theory anyway, based on vibes, pseudoscience, and Mr. B's deranged doodles. Fast forward through a few days of ethical slippage and things get spicy. Mr. B's phone rings and he receives a message from Joyce, a friend who is seemingly worried about him. This is important because this is somebody who's probably going to come looking for him at some point. Upon leaving the apartment after hearing the voicemail, sufficiently frazzled, Finn runs into Big Joe, who starts to ask about Mr. B. Finn lies and says he's severely ill in the hospital, and Joe says they're nice to take care of his place for him. Now, all three of our protagonists are in Mr. B's apartment waiting for the next Polaroid because none of them were in the photo that they saw yesterday, but the tables have begun to shift. The new photo that has appeared shows Callie kissing Jasper while Finn's off in the background blissfully painting Michelangelo X Diddy style. Back in their apartment, the three are arguing about the future and what is shown in the photo, and Finn says that they should have destroyed the machine, but then says that what has happened in the future has already happened and that it's too late to destroy it. He says it doesn't matter why they did any of it. The painting, kissing for the camera, but that it already happened because the camera shows it. So they decide to do the kiss to stay on script. Finn is supposed to tell them to stop kissing when it's time, but he gets too lost in his painting sauce and they end up holding the kiss for close to 3 minutes. Finn turns around to them, completely making out. Finn picks up the vibes in the room. There's obviously something going on between Callie and Jasper. He freaks out and leaves the room to check what the newest photo shows. Before even giving them time to discuss this problematic relationship revelation, Finn shows Jasper the newest photo, which shows Ivan, Jasper's extremely sketchy bookie, at their apartment. Jasper tries to get Ivan off his back, but ends up psyching him out, and dun dun dun, Ivan inevitably arrives. Finn leaves, joined by Callie, and they have a nice, sweet discussion that seems to rekindle their relationship. He was very jealous of her kissing Jasper, and they seem to be better than ever because obviously jealousy makes you horny. Back in the apartment, Ivan begins high-key threatening Jasper, telling a sufficiently terrifying story to seal the deal before he says the only thing worse than someone who can't pay the bets that they place is someone who never loses a bet placed. Jasper says that he's getting lucky, and Ivan demands to know what's happening, and Jasper is almost able to convince Ivan to leave with the promise that he can ride his bets, but at that moment, Callie storms in and throws a new photo at Jasper showing Finn painting her in the nude and a shadowy figure watching from Mr. B's apartment. Finn and Callie both assume that it's Jasper. Ivan sees this photo, witnessing the confrontation, takes this as his cue to leave. And because, of course, our three musketeers are committed to the bit, they begin to reenact the photo with Finn painting Callie like one of his French girls, but instead of seeing Jasper there watching like, well, Diddy, which is what they expected, it's Ivan and Marcus holding Jasper front and center because, they not only figured out that the camera exists, but Ivan recognized his own silhouette in the photo. Upon learning about the machine, Ivan decides to exploit it for gambling profits. He's our movie's villain version of a crypto bro. And the deal is he's going to send his henchmen to collect the photos daily, and their job, unless they want to die, is hand over and participate in the photo taking. From here, the gang spirals into full Black Mirror territory, forced to pose for photos that make Ivan money, while Finn is completely cut off from his inspirational cheat codes and is staring at a blank canvas in complete and utter defeat. This leads to Finn and Jasper arguing over him not being able to see the paintings, and Finn begging Jasper to make this entire covering up of Mr. B's death thing worth it for him because he needs painting inspiration, and convinces Jasper to take a photo of the upcoming photo. Finn's canvas shows a skull and crossbones hastily scrawled on a painting. Jasper is convinced that it's a warning and believes that something is really wrong, but Finn disagrees. He's literally just happy to see that he's painted something. Up all night, consumed with his paranoia, Jasper hides weapons in every accessible yet hidden spaces around the apartment, like he's hiding for war. Big Joe then arrives to deliver his extra set of keys for the condo, but Marcus oversees the whole thing and thinks that Finn is talking to the cops because Big Joe has just become a police officer. He was handing him his police officer card. Things take a bloody turn, shock, when Ivan gets paranoid about Big Joe and Ivan shows up angry. Finn tries to tell him that the interaction was completely innocent, but Ivan doesn't believe him, pulling out a mandolin, holding Callie's hand over it to see if he can make them remember. Sir? This is a Wendy's. Then Jasper pretends the next photo shows Ivan getting killed by his own henchman, Marcus. He says that he saw it happen in the next photo, and Ivan takes Marcus's gun and goes to the apartment to check on the new photo. Jasper then stabs Marcus and then violently clubs Ivan once he re-enters the apartment. It's giving bad improv meets felony. Bodies are hidden in Mr. B's storage unit. Secrets deepen, and tensions are one drop Polaroid away from exploding. Jasper leaves to go and get his money from Ivan's place, who is now rotting next to Mr. B and Marcus because the next photo shows him collecting all of his cash. Finn wants to split that money and leave the machine and get the fuck out of Dodge, but Callie is very against it. I wonder why. We then get the entrance of Dr. Heidecker, Mr. B's colleague, who shows up asking one too many questions and also carrying a gun. She's also got a photo that Mr. B mailed her before he died. Aha! Turns out that the camera can shoot more than 24 hours ahead, so time travel, but make it premeditated? But what does the photo show? Blood on the window, Mr. B's iconic hat on the couch, and a weird green coil from the machine painted on the canvas. Heidecker thinks that Mr. B didn't die because of time paradoxes. He just knocked over a canister, thorium, in his storage locker and got gassed. Jasper inquires if she knows more about the machine, and she says that she doesn't. With that, he shoots her and hides her body with the others. Now, we as the viewers realize that this is not Mr. B's death because he was already dead by the time that the photo was taken. So this then opens another can of worms. Whose death is it? Behind the scenes, relationships are unraveling. Secrets are exploding, and the more they try and follow the pictures, the more doomed they become. It's like Groundhog Day if everyone had trust issues, gambling debts, and repressed trauma. Then we get the photo. Callie and Jasper mid-sex in the window.
You keep asking me, did I sleep with this man? I never fucked him. Never!
Finn unconscious on the couch. After the photo is revealed, the boys are up talking once Callie, drugged and distressed, passes out. After a deep conversation with Jasper, Finn comes to the conclusion that he's a huge loser who doesn't deserve his girlfriend, and he's the one stopping himself from being happy. If it's anything that men have, it's the audacity. He's about ready to change things and not follow the machine, but Jasper's gone full timeline cultist. He knocks Finn out and locks him in the storage unit, determined to let the prophecy fulfill itself, saying, "You don't fuck with time." Finn wakes up and realizes that Mr. B has the keys in his pocket, allowing him to escape the storage unit. Able to escape, he breaks free and calls Jasper with a threat: "Stop the mess or he'll destroy the machine." Finn's holding a bucket of water over the machine, and Jasper threatens to kill Callie if he won't drop the bucket. Finn says, "You're not going to get here before I drop this bucket of water."
Stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance.
Desperate to save the machine, Jasper hands Callie the phone and his gun. Finn tells her to look in Jasper's pocket, and Callie finds the engagement ring that Finn got her. She then points the gun at Jasper, waiting for Finn. Finn returns. He has the gun trained on Jasper, but Jasper doesn't trust that he's going to take that shot. They begin to fight, and to protect Finn, Callie smashes Jasper's skull from behind.
Ouch! Fuck! I just hit my whole head, bitch. Hold up.
Another body, another lie. Then Callie tells Finn that the photo has changed once Jasper is dead. Before having time to conceptualize how completely impossible this is, and also realizing the time, Finn begins to paint the picture to match Heidecker's photo, but he begins to realize a detail that just doesn't add up. Finn goes to find Callie and sees her rummaging through a drawer, and was confused because she was supposed to be getting him ice for his head because he fought with Jasper. She runs to the kitchen, gets him ice, tells him to lie down and relax, and leaves him in the bedroom, closes the door, but sensing that something is totally off, Finn gets up to see Callie taking a photo at 8 a.m. And then we get our largest plot twist. The machine also takes photos in the morning. When Callie went over to Mr. B's apartment in the beginning, she saw the first photo that she sent of herself, sending herself a message in the future, telling herself to knock the coat rack over and hide last week's daytime photos. She realized that she could secretly pass messages back to herself, and so the whole time she has been doing this. Callie completely changed the timeline. She hid certain daytime and nighttime photos to control the narrative that the boys saw. She begins to explain her logic, that she was being ordered by the photos to do what was best for them because she was able to see the future. And in a way, she says that everything really happened for a reason. She says that their relationship was coming back together, but he stopped choosing her, and all she really wanted was for him to choose her. And that when he threatened to destroy the machine, that was really what she wanted from him. When Finn finds this out, he throws the ring he used to propose across the room and threatens to destroy the machine again. He sees Callie for what she's truly become, a time loop puppet master. She says to him that if he destroys the machine, that she can't fix any of it. And Callie, now fully unhinged, shoots him. Boom. Blood splatter on the window explained. Callie writes one last note to warn her past self and sticks it to the window, thinking that she can still reset the timeline. And at the same time, Big Joe walks over to the window and comes up to the door. He had received a very concerning message from Finn and sees the blood spattered on the window. She voluntarily lets him in to see the two bodies, and as he is subsequently arresting her, she thinks it's not over. But then, because fate is fate as dictated in the photo, we see her note slowly fall off the window. Her message never gets seen. The timeline, not so much mutable as merciless. The final photo is taken, and we know what's not in it. Bradley King and B.P. Cooper cooked up a twisted little sci-fi fable here. Tense, tight, and full of slow burn disaster. No explosions, no crazy CGI, just one apartment, 3 friends, and one creepy camera that ruins everything. Moral of the story? If you ever discover a camera that shows you the future, put it down, walk away, and definitely don't show it to a man named Jasper. Let's get one thing straight. Time Lapse is not a movie about time travel. It's about time control, or rather, the delusion of control. The second that our 3 dumpster fire roommates stumble upon that time-bending camera across the courtyard, a camera that creepily spits out Polaroids of what will happen 24 hours into the future, they go full, "What would you do for a Klondike bar?" level of desperate. And their answer? Absolutely anything, including sabotage, self-deceit, and good old-fashioned homicide. But what really makes Time Lapse fascinating and maddening in the best way is that it teases us with the idea of free will and smacks us over the head with the giant neon sign that says, "You have none! Free will in this economy?" Try again, sweetie. Let's start with the camera. The Polaroid spewing future revealing machine is basically God in a steampunk shell. Whatever it shows happens, period. It's like the universe took a BuzzFeed quiz titled How Toxic Are You and got you manipulate your friends, stage their deaths, and gaslight them into thinking it's for their own good. What's insidious about the camera is that it doesn't demand anyone follow its predictions. It just sits there ominously clicking away like a smug little time demon. But the power of the image, the inevitability that it implies, is enough to make everyone go full Macbeth. Theory. If you see your boyfriend kissing another girl in a photo from tomorrow, do you break up with him or make sure that it happens just to keep the timeline intact? That's the question. And the characters, God bless their messy hearts, always choose chaos. Finn, our floppy-haired, morally vacant protagonist, is the artist who quickly trades paintbrushes for paranoia. He's basically the human embodiment of I can fix him, except it's himself he's trying to fix with obsessive compliance to a Polaroid. He wants to be worthy of Callie and resents Jasper for the connection him and Callie are able to foster while he's off staring into the future worrying about being enough, while everyone else is wishing he would just sit around and enjoy the present. Jasper's the guy your parents warned you about, sketchy, opportunistic, probably has a crypto portfolio, he's cheating with his BFF's girlfriend, and has no qualms about doing whatever he needs to, killing almost everybody, to keep his secrets and improve his life at the disadvantage of others. He sees the camera and instantly decides to use it for gambling because of course he does. His downfall, treating the future like a scratch-off ticket and thinking consequences are optional. And Callie, Callie. She starts off as the voice of reason, the girlfriend trying to keep the boys from unraveling, and then slowly slides into her villain era like it's a Lana Del Rey track. We watch her cling to reality and establish rules to be enforced, all under the guise of helping and keeping things going. But the reality is that she's just controlling everyone. The narrative, the lies that people know that she's told them, and the mistakes that she has made. She claims honesty, when in reality, she's manufacturing the world that everybody lives in and uses the people around her to fulfill her own needs. The final twist is that she has been manipulating everyone, including herself. Iconic? Yes. Unhinged? Also yes. The fact that every character chooses to follow the photos rather than resist them proves one thing. The illusion of choice is enough to ruin people. They didn't have to go full Greek tragedy, but they did, because the idea of messing with fate is sexier than actually taking responsibility. Here's the real tea. Time Lapse doesn't just play with causality. It laughs in its face. The film dares to ask, if you know your future, do you still have a choice? Or does the knowledge itself become the thing that controls you? And what's worse, a future you can't change or one that you won't change out of fear? The characters become so obsessed with making the camera's photos come true that they end up staging events just to keep the illusion alive. That's not free will, that's cosmic cosplay. And let's be real, it would have been fine if they just deleted the photos and gone to therapy. But no, instead they spiral into a loop of self-fulfilling destruction, proving that when faced with the unknown, we'd rather act out our own doom than admit we're powerless. Now do me a favor and hold on to your tinfoil hats. If Time Lapse were a philosophy class, the syllabus would read, free will is a scam and everyone's being played. Sure, it dresses up as a little sci-fi thriller with a cute time travel gimmick, but underneath the surface, this movie is less about time and more about power, who has it, who wants it, and how it's disguised as destiny. And nothing says disguised power like manipulation, baby! Let's break this down like we're gossiping in the group chat. Imagine you and your friends find a machine that spits out photos 24 hours into the future. Do you shrug and go, cool, let's keep living authentically? No, you spiral, you self-police, you turn into amateur dictators trying to keep the future on track, like you're guarding the timeline of the universe when in reality, you're just paranoid and greedy. That's where Jeremy Bentham and Michel Foucault would pop in with an I told you so. In his work on surveillance and social control, Foucault argued that power doesn't always look like a cop or a king. Sometimes power is a mirror. Sometimes it's a security camera that you can't escape. And in Time Lapse, it's a damn Polaroid. The camera is the ultimate manipulator, not because it says anything, but because it shows just enough to make our characters act accordingly. That's the thing with manipulation and control in politics. It doesn't need brute force when it can either directly or indirectly just control the narrative. Just like politicians don't need to censor, they simply just flood the system with curated, pre-approved versions of reality. For example, lobbying. Sound familiar? Now here's where it gets messier than a Real Housewives reunion. Once the characters buy into the camera's authority, they start enforcing its will themselves. They police each other, argue over how to stay in line, and gradually forget that they could theoretically just stop. It's classic internalized control. Now, Mr. Foucault was inspired by Jeremy Bentham's design for an institutional prison called the panopticon, derived from the Greek word all-seeing, panoptes. Foucault argued that the panopticon is a metaphor for how power operates in the modern society, and coined the panopticon effect. Once you believe you're always being watched, your behavior will change accordingly, and you no longer need external discipline. Just being watched compels effective self-regulation. You become your own jailer, or in this case, your own time-traveling puppet. And then we get to Callie, the secret boss girl of our timeline. Let's give her a little side eye and a slow clap. She isn't just playing the game, she's rigging the machine behind everyone's back. And here's where we cross into full-blown manipulative governance. She's not threatening anyone outright. She's curating what they see. She's rewriting the so-called truth through the photos, guiding everyone's choices like a stage mom with a god complex. This is manipulation in its most insidious form, not telling people what to do, but making them believe that they chose it themselves. Even Jasper, our unhinged wild card, buys into the illusion of fate. He starts believing that violence is justified because the photo said so. This is how true belief, aka ideology, works. It makes even the most absurd choices seem logical if they align with the dominant narrative. And in Time Lapse, the dominant narrative is that the camera knows best. That we don't fuck with time. We live and die by this machine and what it tells us. By the time we hit the finale, everyone's so deep in the web of causality and paranoia that they've basically surrendered free will on the altar of a dusty old film reel. And Callie, she's sipping wine like she didn't just orchestrate a slow-motion murder-suicide to keep the future intact. So yes, Time Lapse is a great little thriller, but it's also a political allegory with killer brows and better lighting. It asks us to question how much of our lives are driven by genuine choice, and how much is shaped by the subtle forces manipulating our sense of agency, whether that's a camera, a system, or a society obsessed with predetermined success. So, if you're looking for a philosophical dive wrapped in a messy love triangle and a ticking time bomb of murder and betrayal, Time Lapse is your jam. Just don't blame me if you walk away wondering whether you're making your own choices or if you're actually following someone else's script. And that, my friends, is the most glamorous mind prison of them all.